You are what you eat, both physically and spiritually. In the coming episodes, this dynamic podcast will focus on what we as people take into our physical body as well as our spiritual body. Scripture says that mankind shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. Matthew 4:4. Each episode is designed to wake up the called and shake up the dry bones scattered around the world, for the purpose of opening the eye of what is taken into the physical and spiritual body. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thy eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thy eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light is in thee be darkness, how great is that darkness? Matthew 6:22 and 23.
Shalom, Mark. Shalom, people.
What up,
Welcome
what up?
to another. What up? What up? Welcome to another episode of Iron Sharpens Iron. I'm Samson,
I'm Marquise Jones.
and we got Doc Wooten back for another episode of Iron Sharpens Iron.
Because we're looking for the same thing.
I'm telling you, you talking about a doctor working 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts, able to make it back, man. You blessed, man, and I thank you, man. I truly appreciate you, Doc. Like we say, this is a Christian disciple of Christ following based platform. We stand on two scriptures. The first one is Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, so shall another brother sharpen the countenance of his friend. As well as 1 Thessalonians 5:13. Or is it
5:23? 5:23. Just that the spirit, soul, and body be preserved blameless until the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. You know, we go to the if we go to the gym to work out, we take care of our bodies. We go to church to take care of our spirit, but who takes care of our soul? You know what I mean? So we got choices to make.
The battle's always in the soul.
Battle's always.
I believe Paul told us though. We born again, but now it's time to work out our own soul salvation. Yes, so this is part of the soul salvation fitness regimen right here. Getting our funky mind right, you know what I mean? So if we're not going to depend on somebody else to help us, we're going to sharpen each other. This is not aluminum sharpening aluminum or copper sharpening wax. This is iron sharpening iron. So let's go. So last episode, we spoke about the chitlin, and we were trying to get to that watermelon, but the chitlin was so good.
Grapple,
Fly with the chitlin, man.
So I'm not gonna assume you know about the watermelon, Doc. So tell us what your take on the watermelon. Because I know last one of the episodes, I believe the second episode of the series, we talked about the top 9 health benefits of the watermelon. But I really, especially I couldn't pronounce certain words. I really want to get your take on the health benefits of the watermelon, Doc. So tell me what you know about this thing.
So, man, I love this because I'm gonna tell you what, the watermelon is the healthiest, food that has ever been put on this earth.
Wait, stop, pause. Yep. So something that was domesticated 4,000 years ago and brought to the Americas from North Africa, where we originated, is actually the healthiest fruit in the land.
Yes. If you had to pick one thing that, you had a choice, you had to have one thing that you survive off of, I would pick watermelon.
Really?
Man. Why you say really, Queese?
It has everything in it that you really need.
No, I mean, that's a bold statement, bro. You know what I mean? That's why I say really.
Hey, man, I stand by it. I guarantee you.
So my question is, before you say all the health things, I just want to say one thing. Why make it seedless then?
I don't know if it's want to do that.
Supposed to be the best the way it is organically. What's the reason? What's the reason taking? I mean, ain't nothing to spit out a seed, right?
And once the thing is, I don't know why someone would want to do that.
Okay.
Well, before I got
it comes with any fruit, vegetable, and technically, if it's seeds, it's fruit. But like why would you?
Before I got this knowledge of how healthy we need to eat, I was so happy the watermelon was seedless because the seeds look like roaches. And I grew up with roaches, right? I always wish they could get rid of the white seeds. But then after I came into this knowledge,
I'm going to give him a box of raisins for his birthday. Watch him fall out into a coma.
Man, no lie, I used to eat that cereal, Kellogg Smacks. I don't know if y'all heard of it. He looked like I don't know if he was like a frog or whatever.
Yeah, he was a frog. Dig him Smacks.
But man, I used to love Smacks, but I grew up with roaches and they look too much like roaches. And I lied to you not, one day when I was about 8 years old, I was eating my Smacks and there was a roach in my cereal, and that was the last time I ate Smacks. See, that's the hood stories they don't tell you about, man. You talk about Project Living. I had to sacrifice certain edible pleasures, but that's neither here nor there.
No watermelon. You gotta explain this bold statement that you just made.
we're gonna talk about these nigger apples. And one thing I realized is that when I realized they was taking the seeds out, we're talking about sterilization, correct?
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
So how is that healthy? And Queese told me it's not a GMO, is when you take the seeds out, is hibernate hybrids.
Like hybrid and
hybridization or something?
Yeah, hybridization. Yeah, it's like kind of like hybridization, so hybridization. Yes.
Wow.
Right. So explain yourself, Doc.
That's all right,
a bold
and
statement you just said.
And I'm gonna tell you what, I kind of talk more so probably off the cuff of kind of what I know about it. But then there's an article that y'all mentioned, Healthline, that I could really like go through each point. And I mean, I can share the screen if y'all want and kind of go through each point if y'all want.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it will so I will start with saying, just think about where I'm at. It's out of all the types of fruit that you have, it's such a source of hydration, right? So hence, because it got the name water in it. And so it's basically a big melon. They got all this water in it, right? So even if you can't find any good water to drink, right? And obviously, back in the day, they didn't have like Aquafina Dasani or any like good bottled water, filter water or whatever. I mean,
I know, what do you call that? What's that one that come in a glass that I like? Ross.
Oh yeah, Boss.
Yeah, that's it.
Bougie Fina.
You getting that $5.75 water.
You know what I mean?
Yes. They had that, right? Shoot, they're probably the best, closest maybe purified water you get was out the well, and that was it. Like, so you ain't had any of that. But the watermelon, I mean, it's such a source of hydration, right? So, I mean, it's not just
92% water. That's what healthline.com said, 92% water.
So, I mean, you got something that you ain't had to go worry about trying to go get some water that's probably infested with all kinds of parasites and, animal, excretions and all kind of stuff, right? So now you got like that, right? So that's number one thing. And then it's packed with so many like vitamins, nutrients, antioxidants. I mean, it keeps you full because of the amount of space that it takes up in your stomach after you digest it. I mean, it's so awesome.
One thing I kept reading, Doc, is when I shared the top 9, and all you got to do is share your screen. If you need me to help you share it, I do the permission stuff. But one thing I've seen with healthline.com is they kept bringing up this I don't know if it's a vitamin or enzyme called lycopene.
Yep.
And so what is this lycopene? Because you're talking about it's combating cancers, is combating heart disease, is inflating the blood vessels so blood can flow. Yeah. Can you elaborate on this lycopene?
Yeah, and it's actually not just the lycopene, it's actually other things that help with that. The potassium also helps with blood flow, and I'll explain why. So I'll tell you what, if you can because I actually got the article up and I was going to share it, but I guess you got it where I guess none of us
can share. Yep. Did I do it?
All right, here. Let me see if I can share. Okay, here we go. So good. All right. Yeah, y'all can see this?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, because I mean, this article and
this is recent too.
Yeah, I mean, March 2019. Shout out to this woman who wrote this article. Because I mean, and she's MSRDN, so she's a registered dietitian.
Masters or something. You pronounce that last name.
Yes, but I mean, this is a fantastic article. So shout out to her. But maybe you really want to go through because I can really break this down. So the watermelon, which they call Citrullus lanatus, of course, is Latin.
Yeah, Latin.
It says from South Africa, and then a lot of these fruits are all related to each other, like cantaloupe. Of course, they got the white seeds, but it's still very similar because it's kind of is a melon. Zucchini got seeds in it. Pumpkin, white seeds in it. Cucumber, same thing, right?
How come honeydew isn't up there? That's a melon.
Yeah. So
well, it's just giving us some.
Probably the cantaloupe family, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so she says, hey, watermelon packed water nutrients sure is very few calories and exceptionally refreshing. Sure is. And then it goes to say it's a good dietary source of citrulline and lycopene, two powerful plant compounds. So you think of citrulline, citrulus, right? So that's where that comes in. But I'm gonna break down citrulline, right? The citrulline, when you buy egg takes, and citrulline is converted to arginine. Arginine is converted to nitric oxide. Nitric oxide dilates your blood vessels, so allows for better blood flow. So if you have it, so it helps with blood pressure. All right. It also helps with, obviously you're getting better blood flow to all your organs, so that's a good thing, obviously. And then, particularly for the fellas, if you have a little trouble, getting your airplane off the ground or coming to a full salute, this could help as well. So that's where that
comes. The crowd is silent. What happened? Normally somebody have a joke or two. Ain't nobody said nothing.
I was showing strength.
Where's the peanut gallery at, Calvin?
You kind of come up here and
I didn't want to, we need lighting. I didn't want to create darkness.
Is that right?
So it helps out with that. So then, and they mentioned it here: lower blood pressure, improve insulin sensitivity, which actually lycopene goes into that too. So lycopene is a more so like a red pigment. So or is contained in fruits and vegetables that have red pigment. So any one of those things that have a red pigment, that's where lycopene comes in, right? Antioxidant. And when people mention antioxidant, it's something that fights against free radicals and reactive oxygen species, right? So when you knock down those free radicals, those are the things that can interfere with the function of the immune system. So really and truly, the way that our bodies are set up is that we're supposed to be in a immune neutral, immune modulatory state. All right. And the immune system plays a major role, just not with fighting illnesses or diseases, but also cancer.
What do you mean by modulatory?
So basically you want everything to be balanced, right? So
like homeostasis type thing?
Yeah, kind of a homeostasis, right? Because what happens is that you don't want your immune system to be over ramped up, right? Because that's how you have like autoimmune diseases. Your body's fighting itself, right? So say, for example, people that have lupus, one thing, where your body is fighting itself. And so why with a lot of people that have autoimmune diseases, they receive steroids because steroids attenuates or settles down the immune system. But the problem is, and then if the steroids don't work, you get on all these other medications that pretty much really just dumb down your immune system. But the problem is, you get tipped to the other side of the scale. So now when your immune system is now to the point where it's compromised, now you're at the risk of other infections that a normal immune system would easily fight off. So that's why I like using that word immunomodulatory, because it keeps it, like I said, kind of at that homeostasis.
Okay. I'm learning. So, I love it.
But kind of going back to lycopene though, and also to improve insulin sensitivity, it also plays a role in that too. So obviously if you have you need insulin sensitivity to, protect against diabetes, because that's really what diabetes is, particularly type 2 diabetes, is that you have decreased insulin sensitivity. So kind of what we mentioned earlier is that where the initial phase when someone has type 2 diabetes is that they're in a hyper insulinemic state, where it basically means they are secreting too much insulin, right? And they have to secrete all this insulin because their body's not responding to it. And then what happens is then when their pancreas burns out, then that's when they really get diabetes. So this is where lycopene comes in. It also helps break down adipose tissue, so fat cells. All right, so it helps with that too.
So what is adipose tissues? So you're talking about like
fat.
Okay. I wish I had just said fat, but yeah.
That's what it is. Like, hey, got to make, because when you come across these things, they're going to say adipose tissue. People are like, what's adipose tissue, right?
Man, Kyle, when you get your degree, you can say whatever you want, bro. You know what I mean?
All right, hold on. Let me go to my Xerox machine and print one out. I'm going to print one out.
And then we talk about reduced muscle soreness. Now, where does this come in, right? This is where the potassium comes in, right? Potassium and as well as magnesium, but particularly potassium, right? So what happens is potassium allows those blood vessels to relax. And when those blood vessels are able to relax, then you get better blood flow. Now, obviously, if you're able to get better blood flow to your muscles, then your muscles aren't going to be as sore.
Right.
So that's where that comes
in. I wanted to touch, you can keep going, but it's talking about, like, at the Healthline, the top 9, one of the top 9 things was it kept saying anti-cancer effects. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, and that's where the antioxidants come in. So that's where, and there was a portion of this article that kind of, when they broke down the let me get this off the screen, where they talked about more so on the lycopene. See to here, lycopene, power of antioxidant, and that's where that comes from. Oh man, I'm trying to see. There was
so is there a correlation between that lycopene and the red color, as well as this red dye 10 or something like that you see in like additives? Are they trying to manipulate or duplicate?
I don't think so. I mean, this is my personal opinion. I don't think it's really related. I just think that when they start adding all those chemicals and all that other stuff, that's more so for show. That's to sell the item.
That's what do you call it? That's for sight. I forget the name of that's for sight. 90%, over 90% of what we eat, we see first. If it looks good, if it looks good, we're gonna say it's delicious in our mind. Mm-hmm. So I mean, how many times you walk past you was in the grocery store and you saw something and you was like, man, that looks good. So you're gonna think it's good, and you buy it and you eat it.
McDonald's burger, like I didn't even know
commercials are for. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You've never gotten a burger of any kind from any place and it looked the same way it did on a commercial.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't care the name. Yeah, it's never been done. But that's advertisement. Sight. It's the word I'm looking for. Aesthetics.
Yeah.
It's aesthetically pleasing.
Yep. Right. And the thing is that even when you can go to the grocery store, and I break this down, like I said, in a presentation I have, where, they start you out when you're a kid, right? So you think about it, you go down the cereal aisle, and in most stores, the cereals that have the highest amount of sugar on the lowest rows, right? Because that's how they get you, right? They get you hooked on right there.
And color.
Yeah, and color, yeah. And all the colors that they put in it that have all those chemicals that really and truly in a lot of other countries are actually banned.
Yeah.
No way.
I just saw a clip about that. I sent it to you, Cal, and we'll come up on that eventually. But they're putting America is an open door of chemicals that places have banned.
Yeah.
Additives and stuff like that. It's an open door. It's like they don't nevertheless, but I digress, as you would say.
So is the lycopene the only thing that helps heart or gives heart health?
Well,
is there any other
so this is where potassium comes in, right? Because potassium plays a major role. And once, like I said, potassium is very important in regulating the muscular tone, right? The smooth muscular tone of the blood vessels. So most people think that, so it's different, right? So most people think like, oh, the only muscle exists to your actual physical, like in your musculoskeletal system, right? The muscles. Mm-hmm. But remember, your a lot of your organs, right? Your blood vessels, they have something called smooth muscle, right? Works a little bit differently. And so potassium helps relax that smooth muscle, right? So when those blood vessels are relaxed, they're able to dilate. Therefore, when those blood vessels are dilated, that lowers your blood pressure because now your heart doesn't have to pump as hard against the extra pressure. So that's where potassium comes in that way. Potassium is also a major role in terms of the electrical function of your heart. And so potassium and sodium kind of work together. And what happens is that when you have a little more potassium there, that also helps regulate your blood pressure and keep it low level, or at a normal level. So for example, I'll mention this point. So just kind of in my practice, there's people that I've seen, and many I've noticed even since residency fellowship now practicing, that say people around, young people I consider young is, say like mid late 30s, even 40s, right? Particularly Black people that, you had, for some reason you're like, why do they have like such high blood pressure? And I mean, even there's people I've seen are overweight, but they're not really that overweight. And you're like, so why has he got high blood pressure? And a lot of times those people have low potassium. And
wow.
And now there's also a condition that could drop your potassium, is how your kidneys handle it and all. And I don't really have to get into all that, but potassium plays a major role. And so we know when you get the potassium level at normal levels, then the blood pressure actually improves.
So one of the things, Doc, that how this podcast started is, we were talking a while ago, months ago, or whatever the case may be, and I got a title of a book, and I'm inserting pages here and there as I can. But one of the things is that one of the goals of this podcast is you are what you eat. That's the name of my book, both spiritually and physically. What we put in our physical body comes out, and it has a major part in how we feel, how we look, this, that, and the other. Also spiritually, what we watch on TV, what we watch in, what we read, this, that, and the other, what we listen to in our ears. So my question to you, Doc, would be, do you think, in your opinion, that people really care about their health as much as they should? That's the first question. Secondly, one of the things that I do if I'm having issues of any kind medically, and I have to see a doctor, I have to go to you to see what, high blood pressure the case may be, or whatever the case may be that's going on with my body. The first thing I do is I try to research, what can I do? What can I take in? How can I change my diet instead of being on medication? That's what I do. Talk to me about, do people really take their health seriously enough to change instead of being continuously on medication, one medication after another?
So to your first question, I believe people care about their health, but are they willing to make the necessary changes? So that's the kind of thing. It doesn't matter really what the problem is. Everybody's looking for the easy solution, right? And so
quick pill.
Yeah, so that's the thing, something that's easy, right? So, well, I gotta make a change with that. Oh, that doesn't taste as good, or whatever. Okay, well, I could take a pill. Boom, I could take a pill and still do what I do, right? Have the best of both worlds. So, yeah, that's
stay
really
for your stomach and think you can still eat what you want with a staple stomach.
No, seriously. No, people have that. So, for example, you've seen a show that wife and I used to watch. We haven't watched it much lately, but like My 600-Pound Life. And so, the doc on there, a guy named Dr. Now, he sounds like somewhere from like the Middle East, but he's a doc out in Houston. And this guy I know he's like 75, heck, he might almost be 80, but I mean, he's so direct with patients. And so all them coming to him is like, oh, I want this, gastric bypass, surgery, whatever else. And the first thing he's like, no, I want to, first of all, you got to show me that you could lose the weight first, because it's all a mindset. Heck, I could do the surgery, but if
next week you can bust the staples.
Yeah, it's gonna butt open. He's like, if I don't change your mindset, then that's what it comes down to. So yeah, people care about their health, but they're looking for quick fixes, right? They don't want to do really the necessary work.
They don't want to do the exercise.
Yeah, and the thing is, you really ain't got to exercise all crazy.
Well, the conviction, you have to be convicted.
Yeah,
health to me is a conviction. I tell you, when I turned vegan, not anymore, but I want to get back to that. But years ago, when my father passed, it hit me so hard. The way he passed, I just changed my mindset, and I went vegan. And I tell you the truth, I lie to you not. I went from 300 to 340 something pounds to like 270, 280 in like 6 months.
Wow.
I didn't even exercise. I didn't go to the gym. All I did was change my diet and what I ate. I stopped eating meat, dairy, sugar, salt, that sort of thing, and just went total. And in 6 months, I lost what is that? 60 pounds?
Yeah.
70 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. So just imagine, like you said, if we can actually change our minds instead of our medication. You know what I mean?
And that's really what it comes down to. And because the thing about the medications, remember, your body starts to process all this stuff. And so the people that are on all these medications, remember, you have medications that we know interact with each other. But of course, there's a lot of drug interactions that we do not know of. So the thing is that there's no way that someone that's on 10 medications, there's no way that there's not at least one drug interaction. And now you also have to remember that everything that we ingest is processed through our liver. And so when you're, the more medications you're on, that's more chemicals that you have in your body. Because remember, these are pharmaceutically produced, drugs or entities. So what happens is they're going to have chemicals in them. And so what happens is that your liver has to process all that stuff, process all those chemicals. And there's no way that your liver can do all that. And so, now we're talking about your liver's being hit with the unhealthy food that you're eating and these medications that you're doing because of all the health problems that all this unhealthy food cause.
I didn't know if you were still trying to share. I didn't know if you were still trying to share your screen or not, Doc, but I didn't know.
Oh yeah, because I was going to kind of hit a few more points and then I could get back on. But yeah. So other things, obviously, vitamin C, huge for immune function, skin health, obviously. Tasman, we talked about some probably these other things I'll talk about. So vitamin B5, also known as pantothenic acid, it's kind of like another antioxidant. It's another vitamin
copper mineral is the most abundant in plant foods and often lacking in the Western diet. Explain that.
Yeah, and copper. Wow. And the thing is, and I already going to hit on copper as much because people may kind of take that the wrong way, but copper is one of those things you need a little bit of. It's like a good trace mineral. Now you don't want to have a bunch of copper, but you do need the right amount of copper because it plays a role in neurological functioning. So basically, brain health. All right, that's pretty much the main thing with copper.
Okay.
But I also don't want people to say like, "Oh, I need to go eat a bunch of coffee."
You're having people up here eating pennies and stuff.
Pennies and stuff. No. That's why we're going to touch on that trace. That's a trace minerals.
The doctor said I should eat money.
Yeah. I want you to have money. Just don't eat it.
Put my money where my mouth is.
And so then, but I was going to hit vitamin B5, right? Pantothenic acid, like I said, major antioxidant. It also plays a role in the I guess the thinning of your blood. So it properly regulates your clotting system.
Got it.
All right. So that's the best way to say it.
So natural heparin or something like that.
Essentially like that, natural heparin, but it's not like a blood thinner where like if you if you eat a bunch of B5 and ingest a bunch of B5 and then you nick yourself, it's gonna be bleeding. No. It's a good, I'd say, regulator of the clotting system. So make sure you don't have all these clotting illnesses because what happens is that, when you eat a lot of these unhealthy foods, your body is just inflamed all the time. And when you're in an inflammatory state, you're at a higher risk of forming blood clots. And obviously blood clots
internally inflamed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So B5 helps with that. And then vitamin A, it contains beta carotene, which is in carrots.
Oh, that's skin.
Skin health, but also eyesight.
It's the macular degeneration.
Yes. Yes, I remember you mentioned that in the past episode. The macular degeneration. That's your vitamin A.
Wow.
So
look at that.
I just want to do that. I'm gonna get back to my how do I not share the screen anymore? Stop share. Here we go. All right. There we go. But I wanted to point those things out.
So like it's just so interesting that you see all these nutrients in just one thing. And I don't even think we scratched the surface, did we, Doc? Because Queez talked about last episode, not the last episode, but the episode on the watermelon. He even brought the culinary aspects of it where you can make a zest and preservatives. Oh my God. Like
the whole, I saw, I mentioned it again, reiterating what I said a couple episodes ago. I found out, I didn't know, I just found out a couple months ago that it's edible. And I think it's a Latin or a Mexican type dish that you can make out of it. And I sat up there and watched it. It was a 15-minute video and they chopped everything up and this, that, and the other, and they cooked it and ate it. And I was like, I did not know that. I didn't know that.
I kept messing up, Queez. It was that that dish that I kept messing up. It was the name, and you said I wasn't saying it right.
I don't know.
It was a dish that they made. The last
episode, watermelon.
With the watermelon. It's gonna hit us while I bet you.
Keep talking. I'll look for it.
Yeah, when we get off the episode, it's gonna hit us. But Doc, I know we only have about 3 minutes left. Talk to us a little bit more about and feel free, you're welcome back on the show anytime. Talk to us a little bit more about you and your wife's endeavor into making a healthier community.
Man, so like I said, it's really twofold. One was from my previous experience. So it actually, when we got on this plant-based diet, it actually started after we did the Daniel fast. So I was
explain to our viewers what the Daniel fast is.
The Daniel fast is, man. So Daniel fast, basically, the way I've interpreted it, like I said, I'm definitely into the word and Lord. I'm probably not the one that I know everything about the Bible. My understanding is that Daniel wanted to prove his worth to the Lord, right? So it's like, okay, sacrifice. And that's really what it came down to. And, sometimes people do the 21-day fast. We did 10. 10 is kind of start off with 10 days. But basically what Daniel did was a plant-based diet. He consumed nothing but basically fruits and nuts. So it's essentially a plant-based diet. And so when we did this for like 10 days, I'm going to tell you what, neither one of us are sweet eaters, but there's a lot of foods that you consume that has a lot of processed sugar. So I noticed, man, after like 2 days, man, dude, I had a massive headache, man. I was walking up the stairs, man, while I was at work, and I felt like someone hit me across the head with a sledgehammer.
That was a sugar detox, right?
Yeah, it was the sugar detox. It was the withdrawal. And then it's like after that, man, I mean, it's such a huge difference, man. Just energy level, man. I think I dropped like 10 pounds in a week. I mean, my mood in terms of, because I work in a high stress environment, I notice I'm like calm at work. So I mean, that's really where it started. And like I
work
said,
in the ER, right, Doc?
ICU. Yeah. And so the thing is that I want to share this with people. I started sharing some of this knowledge with some of my patients because, I also like to do infectious disease, and I see people in clinic, and some more and more patients have been asking more about like, nutritious things, kind of more so on the wellness tip. It's like, hey, what can I eat? What should I avoid? Whatever. And because, like I said, most of my patients I deal with have chronic illnesses, and so we can get people back to a baseline chronic state of health. But can we get you to a point, like I said, you're not going to your whole day is not revolved around going to doctor's appointments and going to the pharmacy to pick up medications. Can you actually like, hey, can I go take a vacation? You know what I'm saying? Can I go out and just enjoy life? And that's really what it comes down to. So that's what, man, my wife and I want to do. Man, my wife she cooks a lot of this stuff, man, because she enjoys to cook, man. So if any viewers want to like follow, my wife has Instagram page, it's LadyP_08, and she posts everything that she cooks. And like I said, we're actually putting together a series of books with plant-based recipes. We're actually finishing up the first book now, which will also include in our nutrition consultation program. Which like I said, you can follow me at DOC_MDUB. So I like Doc MDub.
We're gonna put a link. We're gonna put a link to that, right?
Yeah, sure. And I could pretty much type it in the chat. So I'll do that right now. So that's my wife, and then me. Now I will say, I'll post some things here and there on social media. Now I'll tell you what, I can't quite post all my thoughts because I tend to think my thoughts tend not to really align with the mainstream.
Hey, Doc, I don't want to pull up to a red light and see you on the corner, bro. You know what I mean?
So
let's just chill. Let's just chill on it.
And so and I do work for a well recognized system in South Carolina. So really, I really post so much on social media. I probably.
What you're saying is you're saying some stupid things, like
according
like
to
what, like Doc. One of the episodes, if we can't get a woman guest speaker on here, one of the episodes Queese and I is going to touch on is fat versus fat, PHAT versus FAT. And one of the reasons we want to touch on it is because we're starting to see how unhealthiness,
oh my goodness,
overweightness is the new
and celebrated
and celebrated.
But see, here's the thing though. If you notice though, it's only celebrated among women for some reason, but men it's not.
Interesting.
It's not like unless you're Notorious B.I.G., Big Pun, Fat Joe. I mean, that's because they're rappers that had a lot of money. But if you take your everyday person,
correction.
My dad bod.
One thing on TV, it got us. It got me. It gets the young and stuff like that. But that's another story for a different topic.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, everything ain't what it appears to be. Period.
But when did we start glorifying unhealthiness, whether it's male or female? When did becoming like a poop emoji become the new thing? Is like, is that the new strategy?
Is a strategy or not? My question is: this the best we can do? You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? Is this the best we can do, and just be like, is this the best we can do without even trying to get better as a people, as a nation, as a race? You know what I'm saying? Is this the best we have to offer?
Right.
Celebrating unhealthiness.
You know what's interesting, and I said it in one of the episodes, I think it was Chemical Warfare, that I grew up as an 80s baby. I grew up on the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, right? I'm talking about Conan the Barbarian, Red Sonja, Terminator, where everybody was asking Arnold Schwarzenegger how he get that bod, and he said, I eat steaks, red meat. Fast forward till today, you have MMA fighters on plant-based diets, killing it. And it brought me back to scripture where in Genesis, Father told us that everything in the garden was good for food. The tree was good for food. Fast forward to today, you get just enough protein in plants than you do in red beef or just beef in general. And then you factor in how they trying to re-engineer the cow to eat corn. It seems like everything is lining up with what God says.
Well, and the thing is that, so there's a huge, misconception, just where the education comes in, right? There's a huge, I think, a lot of misconceptions when it comes to plant-based eating. And they're like, well, most people is like, okay, well, what do you eat, right? And so that's the number one thing people ask is like, what are you going to eat? And I'm just tell you what, man, especially like, man, my wife been on this thing. So the thing is, it's hard for me to remember what I ate last week because there's so much variety. Where, before doing this, I mean, I could tell you what I pretty much had like last week or days. And so, I mean, I still ate good and I was healthy, but I mean, there's way more variety. And you think about it. So protein comes from, really amino acids, which comes from nitrogen, right? Plants hold all the nitrogen, right? And so that's where you get it from. And then think about when you're eating your animal protein, that animal had to get his protein somewhere. What do most of these animals eat? Most of these animals eat the grass and eat plants.
The biggest, and that's like the wisdom of God confounds the world. The biggest animals are plant eaters.
Elephants.
You're talking a horse, which is a 0% body fat.
A giraffe, a gorilla.
Giraffes. The biggest animals are plant-based eaters. That should have told us something.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And the thing is, you're getting the authentic protein. You're getting from the source, right? And when you get it from the animal protein, like I said, if the thing is that yes, if you were to eat like a steak here and there, I don't think it's bad. I mean, I think it comes down to when it's processed. That's the thing, is when it's processed stuff. So if you eat some red meat here and there, it's not bad. I mean, you shouldn't eat it all the time. If you eat here and there, it's okay. But
you better be careful because they came after Oprah when she said that.
Oh, well, I'm just
Oprah
saying, like
said something about red meat or a burger or something like that.
Well,
man,
the same companies that pay Oprah ain't paying us, so we can say what we gonna say. But give me an example, Doc, of processed meat. Are you talking about like hamburger in the tube? Are you talking?
Yeah.
What do you mean? That's what you mean? Processed?
So yeah,
meat?
like so just think about it, right? So we go back to our grandparents and like great grandparents, all that stuff. So you think about it, right? Like back in the day when you want to get most food, and like increase, you talked about earlier with the grocery stores, right? Like I say, grocery stores are still kind of really a more novel thing. I mean, when you got a lot of your food, right, especially your animal protein, right, you went to the butcher, right? You went to the butcher, you got that was for the day right here, chopped it up, right? Here's your steak for the day. And you went home and cooked it, and that was it. They didn't have all this like prepackaged stuff. That's what I'm saying. When people's like, well,
do you really think you should get your clothes? Do you really think you should get your clothes and deodorant from a place you get your meat?
You talking about Walmart?
I didn't say Walmart.
Yeah,
I didn't say a name. I didn't say a name.
Everything.
I just said, do you really think that you should get clothes, deodorant, feminine products, and tires and tools from a place where you get food?
Man, don't knock the one-stop
said
shops.
A word.
Don't knock the one-stop shops.
The Walmart, the Costco's, the Sam's Clubs, the BJ's.
But Doc was right. The butchers, man. Like if you wanted to go, I remember growing up in Baltimore, Lexington Market, baby. You know, Lexington Market was the market, and it's still there to this day. It may not be the same, but I remember being down there, and if I wanted to get fish, oysters, or anything like that, you would have to go to that place. If you wanted to get, water or tea or peanuts or cabbage or tomatoes or something like that, watermelon. We had oh my God, I'm showing my age. We had a wagon, a man with a donkey or a horse. I can't remember. I was so young. Used to circle the neighborhood maybe once a week and sell watermelon. You would hear him coming a mile away because he had a bell on his horse, and he was like, watermelon, watermelon. And it was, it wasn't like dirt roads or anything like that. It was like really streets. And he would like, he would sell watermelon like that. You would get peanuts, you would get nuts, you would get this, that, and the other from these booths. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And that was Lexington Market. You could smell it. Oh my God. The smell was just beautiful. Fresh.
And the thing is,
food.
And even with that, right? Well, you talk about watermelon. So there was this guy, this older gentleman in Greenville that was out on the corner by Arlington and Greenville Boulevard that, like I said, during the warm months, I mean, he'd be out there, and I think he had a wagon. Well, I don't know if he had a wagon, but I mean, he had a truck that, had a hatch and had all these watermelons. And everywhere you get a watermelon, that watermelon, best watermelon I've ever had. But you know what, to your other point, please, is that even when you don't eat things that are plant-based, even if it's like animal protein, whatever, the type of animal protein I've gotten, say like you go to a store, you go to produce, and you got someone up there that actually like, chops it for you, or even seafood, right? I mean, when they get for you, it tastes, way different. It tastes way fresher than if you were just to like pick up something that's already wrapped. And so that already tells you. But even because people will make this argument, they're like, oh, well, grandparents, great grandparents, they still ate this stuff and they lived a long time. I'm like, yeah, because they weren't eating all that processed stuff. And so
true.
Yeah, and so that's what it really, the essence of it comes down to, is that you eating things that are organic, not infused with all these harmful chemicals and preservatives.
All right.
So do you see a trend going, Doc, now that we're transitioning more towards healthy eating? Because we see what they're doing to fast foods on every corner, pumping chemicals up. Do you see more of our people transitioning towards that, or does, like, I know like our finances play a role, but does it play a heavy role? And if so, what can combat unhealthy eating? Like what would you suggest for somebody who lives in the hood and there's a McDonald's on one corner and across the street there's a Burger King, there's a Taco Bell? What would you suggest to somebody that they got maybe $5 in their pocket and it's so accessible to get this double cheeseburger in comparison to walking down the street and getting something else? Like, do you have any healthy tips, like what they can do with $5?
Well, in this environment, it's hard to. $5 is pretty much like a penny now in this inflation. But $5, but
so you see the chemical warfare then, huh?
Yeah. But what I'll say is that, a lot of times people think, kind of answer your question. I'll answer in this sense that a lot of people think that, you have to have a lot of money to eat plant-based. No, you don't. You can go to some of your cheap grocery stores like Save-A-Lots or, Aldi's. My thing is it going to be the Whole Foods version of it? No, not necessarily, but you're still eating some plants. You're still getting like some fruits and vegetables, still getting some things that are that are healthier for you than, say, all the other stuff. So, and I think even doing that will carry you a lot further because, once again, when people throw the finance in there, and this is the argument I always have that I counter, is that, okay, yeah, you can either pay for it on the front end or you can pay for it on the back end.
That's a chapter in my book. That's literally a chapter in my book.
and so exactly, I'm glad you pointed out, because that's what it comes down to. It's like it's a lot cheaper for you to spend more upfront on the healthier stuff, because you're going to be spending way more money on the back end, going to doctor's appointments, getting all these medications, having procedures done.
You saying
way
that
more, but I'm telling you.
Yeah, you saying that lets me know I'm on the right path.
So that's what it really comes down to. So, like you said, how you bet that, like I said, education and is really the key. I mean, yeah.
So when we started, we talked about like soul, like working out your mind first. So if somebody did have $5-10 in their pocket, what would create that mindset to think about paying for it now or later and make the right decision? What do you think? Like the patients that you see, is more likely their mindset, right?
Yeah.
So what's a good start to training your mind?
To training your mindset. Well, I think the first thing, change your mindset is understanding the why. So it's getting into the psychology of it. So, which is, I go back to it where I had my presentation and he kind of explained, like, how do we become indoctrinated with food, like our relationship with food, because a lot of it has really been ingrained into us, right? Like a lot of people eat stuff, right? And they're like, why do you eat it? Well, I eat this growing up and this is what everybody in my family ate and this is how it is. I'm like, but why? Like, there's a lot of things that we really do that we don't really understand why we do it.
Wow.
And so it's like getting into the mindset.
Conditioning.
Conditioning. So when I talked about the guy Dr. Now in the 600-pound life, before what he does with every patient, before he kind of takes them through that process, is that he has all them see a psychologist, because all those patients have the similar story, right? They use food as comfort because there was some type of turmoil growing up. All of them had some turmoil with their parents, or there was some type of abuse growing up, and food was like their comfort mechanism. They're like, okay, well, I know food is going to make me feel better, so let me eat this. So, now not everybody has that in that situation, but to change the mindset, you just got to get into the psychology of it and know why. Like, once again, we go back to what we mentioned earlier, is you eating for a purpose, not for a pleasure. You're eating to sustain, right? And so when you train yourself to do that, then it's like, okay, because you might have been overeating. A lot of us, especially in America, we just overeat. I mean, if you go to like other countries, and I haven't traveled to a whole bunch of places outside of America, but I've been down to the Caribbean, been to Mexico, wherever else. All I can tell you is that even there, the amount of food that you receive, like when you go eat at a certain place or whatever, is not nearly as much as in America. I mean, people say that if you go over to like Europe or Italy, wherever else, people's like, yeah, I remember my wife told me she went to Greece. She was like, yeah, the amount of food they give you is significantly less. And so, it comes down to all of
those. They're also stress free. I read articles like around, like in Paris, for instance, they have tea times or break times when they or they don't work past 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And
that's because that's because all the slaves are free. Like, shoot, what we gonna do now? Well, let's take a break every 3 hours.
Let's take a tea break. But like, I remember in the military, one of my sergeants used to say, you got to treat your body like them old school locomotives. He said, you feed it when it's necessary. You throw coal in there and it burns it and it goes faster. And that's how your body should be. It should be for necessity, not so much pleasure.
Right.
Can that be a mindset we can incorporate?
No.
And like how to incorporate it? I guess that's the question, right?
And yeah, now I'll tell you how to incorporate it, in it, which are, I mean, I'm not saying it's like the easiest thing and I got like the best answer for it.
Right.
But,
well,
go ahead, please.
I'm sorry. Definitely don't mean to interrupt you, but one of the things is economics. We can start taking a look at economics. You said, what can you do with $5? The average person.
$5-10.
Yeah. Why does it keep doing this? Jesus.
And then you're talking about like the trauma, like you said, Doc. Like some people eat because of coping. Oh my God, you can sit in front of Netflix with a tub of ice cream and just go ham, right? Or like I gained the weight. So full transparency, the way I gained my weight while Chris has technical difficulties, it was after surgery. I had major surgery And they put me on so much medication. And one of the things I refused to be put on was prednisone. Because that can blow you up and make you gain weight. And just the physiological and psychological effects of having to get my body back together. But it started with my mind. And even now, you're talking about, I'm 5 years removed from surgery, and I'm still like a roller coaster with my weight, but it's it's multifaceted, right? Like, but go ahead, Quiz, you back?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm back, man. You know how I told you about freaking download the updates on your phone and everything changes. Freaking crazy.
Okay.
I never asked for this. But nevertheless, I was going for economics. You said, what can you do with $5 a day, right? The average person spends, what would you say? What would you say, y'all said, the average person, per meal at the lowest? Oh, what the average as far as money?
To dinner or for the day?
Every single meal, breakfast. How much you think somebody spends on average?
Shoot. And I mean, if you're going out, I mean, shoot, now, man, dog. I mean, breakfast used to be probably about $5, maybe $10. I'm saying like about 20
for breakfast. One person. I'm talking about one person. If you go to, you're going to work, an average person going to work, they stop to get something to eat because they didn't cook.
I would say lunch, Quiz, is better because most people don't eat breakfast. They can survive off coffee, but on lunch,
okay, coffee. Let's go coffee.
Okay, let's go coffee.
How much is how much is a take up a coffee?
I'm going for $10 because see, people
love
Starbucks.
Yeah. So let's say $10, Quiz.
$10. That's about right. $10. How much for lunch?
That's where I'm gonna say like 30.
One person spends about $30 a day on lunch. Okay, so that's $40. Dinner.
Shoot, man, dinner. This is where you get shoot. Depends where you go for dinner. Yeah. Does this include like drinks and?
Yeah, you got drinks, you got soda, you got your coffee, you got your desserts, Burger King, whatever the case may be. So let's say that's a low ball. Let's say $15. Okay.
Yeah.
$15. That is $55 in one day. In one day. Let's take 5 days out of a week and not full 7. Times that by 5. That's $275 you just spent for the week. $275 on the low. Yeah. Let's lowball it. Let's just say $250. $250 from Monday through Friday you just spent for breakfast, lunch, or dinner in some way, shape, or form. Maybe a $3 breakfast, maybe a $15 lunch, maybe a $30 or $40 dinner. In some way, shape, or form, you just spent $250. That's when I went vegan. That's what I started calculating. How am I spending my money, and what am I spending my money on? And am I getting healthy? Am I getting healthy by doing it, or healthier, or am I maintaining? That's the mindset that I did. And then I want to plug some books here. Of course, I don't know if y'all can see that.
Rachel Emma's Vegan Eats.
Okay. Yeah. So plug that. Like Soul Food Vegan.
Yeah.
And these are the books that I collected throughout the years. Like I said, the information is out there, man. It's more than McDonald's and it's more than Burger King out there.
You ain't got the slutty vegan book?
No, I ain't got that crap.
Yeah, man. and not to knock them, but I mean, and something else that I always have to, mention about even the plant-based and vegan stuff. See, the reason why I like saying plant-based,
right?
Because I think is where you're truly getting to the essence of it, and it's all 100% authentic. The problem is when you talk about vegan and especially like vegetarian, the problem is that even all the vegan vegetarian stuff isn't really healthy for you,
right?
Because a lot of times that stuff has a lot of preservatives, a lot of salt,
soy isn't good
sugar.
For you. Soy is not good for you.
It messes up
your
so here's the thing.
So here's the thing about soy, that it's a controversial topic because soy, most people think lowers your testosterone because it's estrogen, right?
Right.
But soy is a phytoestrogen, plant-based estrogen, but it's like a misnomer. So what it means is that it actually helps basically fight any type of estrogen that's circulating in your
But
body.
soy is an invention. The soybean is an invention. It's not even natural.
It's not natural?
No.
What? That soy, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
So
what other soy is there?
So I mean,
the soy that was created by Carver, wasn't it?
George Washington Carver?
I believe so. He created soy seed.
Wow.
Stop me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look more into that. It's because and the thing is, I'm gonna tell you where I got this off of. Why I said, and so I'm not saying so it's kind of one of those things where it's, I think if you eat like a little bit of it, you're okay, but I wouldn't definitely like eat a whole bunch of it. It's like one of those controversial things. And when I picked this up at was actually something, I was watching a documentary on Netflix called Game Changers. And they talk about these athletes that have gone to like the plant-based diet. And this is where they broke it down, where like soy is not necessarily it. To me, I kind of treat it as one of those, it's a controversial thing. And the guy who actually broke down the organic chemistry part of it, and it was like, yes, soy is not as so bad as what people think, but at the same time, I wouldn't endorse to say, yeah, go eat a bunch of soy. Like, no, not that either. And so, it can kind of, it's kind of
from what I heard, the soy could mess up. Is it your endocrine system where it can irregulate your hormone production?
That's basically where it goes to. Yeah, it could affect your testosterone, but because they say it's an estrogen, but it's a plant-based estrogen. It's a phytoestrogen, which is like a misnomer. So it actually can bind the circulating estrogen in your body. That's kind of what else.
American chemist George Washington Carver discovered the soybeans are valuable protein in soy oil. So he didn't invent it. He discovered the nature of it. The soybean was actually since 11 BC, but in today's society, as it is in modern day society, it's completely synthetic.
Yeah, so that's
like everything else.
Yeah. It's not.
And that's to the point. So it goes back to the point where now, a lot of things that are being produced are just being genetically modified, has so many of those chemicals. So now, like I said, it's not really necessarily the soy. It's like how they've kind of re-engineered it.
That is something else.
It's something else.
Wow. Yeah. Now, and this could be the final thing we should discuss, because our viewers used to.
I'm sorry. Everybody froze for like 10 seconds. Everybody froze.
Oh, well, it
may have just been me. Okay.
Yeah, it was just you. So, I know this is a prolong, but this is a special edition. So we thank you, Doc. We don't know when we could get you back. So
I know, right?
But one thing I wanted to touch on,
milk this money, baby.
And one thing I wanted to touch on, Doc, is I don't know if you heard the controversy that happened earlier this year, where when they were producing plant-based burgers, they were making this plant-based blood. They was trying to simulate the blood taste from plants.
What?
And it turned out, out to be some type of carcinogen. And I wanted to touch on to see if you knew about that.
I did not know of this. Now, what I will say is that, so when it comes to those plant-based burgers, like for example, like Beyond Meat, those Impossible burgers, bad for you. Don't let me see. And it'll do it for you. And so actually, man, when we have burgers, my wife makes them. We either do black bean. We've actually done beet burgers. So good.
So your wife makes those?
Yeah.
That's tight.
I've actually made, and I've made the black bean burgers. And I mean, it's not hard to do.
And it's easy to make. It really is.
Yeah, you were right, Doc. It's from Impossible Burger. In the lab, they was making heme, HEME. Have you ever heard of that?
Like hemp is like HEMPH.
And something. Yeah, there was I guess they was experimenting with trying to make the Impossible Burger taste more like meat.
So it can taste like a mid-rare burger or something like that, probably. That's disgusting, bro.
And maybe that's could be another
and see, the thing is that that's the other part of like the vegan, and that's why I like using the term plant-based, because like when you get all the vegan stuff, like I said, the Beyond Meat, the Impossible Burger, a lot of that stuff, like I said, they have to add those substitutes in there because they want to make it taste like the real thing. And my thing is that I tell people all the time, particularly like, for example, bacon. I'd say, man, you're better off eating the real thing, because when you start eating all the off-brand and, you know, the vegans, some of the vegan and vegetarian stuff, which is more infused, it has more salt or / more
so you're going
sugar.
from process to process, basically.
Yeah. And it's worse. It's actually going from processed to actually more processed. It's actually worse.
Trying to get it to taste like something, you know what I mean?
Like, why? No.
Yeah.
And so, I tell people if that's the route that you're going to go. So that's why I always like to say plant-based, because it's authentic than saying like vegan or vegetarian.
Got you. I just wanted to plug the people. You know what I mean? Plug out, just to let you know, we're talking about chitlins and watermelon. We're trying to give an alternative mindset. So
right, solutions, because we have to be solution based. Exactly. But if y'all don't mind, this is what I was talking about. Because I want to do y'all justice, and I want to do our viewers justice. So tell me if y'all can see it. Can y'all see it?
Yes.
Okay, so it says, what is him? Impossible Food magic ingredient has caused some controversy. So the Impossible Burger was messing with a bloody tasting type of burger. And I just wanted to know if y'all heard about this, because now I guess they're infiltrating plant-based foods now. And just the look on your face seems like we might have
so the thing is heme, which comes from, heme is like hemoglobin, right? Which is blood. Mm-hmm. And so, like,
I'm gonna step out for a minute, people. I gotta go to the bathroom. Y'all keep talking.
yeah. But it's like heme is a molecule that contains iron, which basically is like hemoglobin, which contains the molecule that contains 4 docking points, for said iron. But so that, I mean,
it's crazy. That sounds like another episode.
Isn't that like a coagulant?
Yeah, so that's the. But see,
Doc,
that's the
thing
that like
too. Used for like a coagulant or something?
Probably that makes the most sense.
Jesus.
So at one point,
but that's where that education comes in, because once again, is that people's like, yeah, I'm gonna hop on all this vegan and vegetarian stuff, and I'm like, this is that's why I tell people, even when we go out, and even my wife's recognized this, for example, like, you think somebody will present this as, oh, this is vegan, vegetarian, and we prefer plant-based, but we also remember that, a lot of times those things are infused with dairy, because a lot of times people think of vegan, but they like, when I think vegan, to me, and that, you shouldn't be having no dairy at all. But what happens is a lot of times people got issues with dairy. So, even certain things, my wife and I don't eat all often, but say like we come back home or go to sleep, and she wakes up in the middle of the night, and she's blowing her nose like crazy. Well, then she had something that probably had some dairy in it. Wow. And so so that's what I'm saying. That's where also that's another layer to it, is also educating people. It's like, look, not all this vegan and vegetarian stuff is all healthy for you. That's why I like plant-based.
So listen to this. It says one plant with a significant concentration of heme is the soybean, which contains leg hemoglobin in its roots. For that reason, Impossible Foods chose soy as well as yeast to make its soy leg hemoglobin, aka heme. So now, after we just finished talking about the soybean, they're using this GMO soy, or I don't know the proper terminology. It's not real soy, and something
synthetic,
that's real. Synthetic soybean, and some. So look how it seems like chemical warfare is everywhere. They done industrialized maize or corn. They done industrialized. I mean, now they're going into plant-based food. So it seems like this agenda to indoctrinate our food is this is why this channel is needed. I just put it that way. This is why this channel is needed. We have to speak truth to power. We have to expose this stuff. But Doc, we don't want to take up too much of your time, Doc, man. We just appreciate you, man. We love you. We love what you're doing. And I'll make sure
plug your social media.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was going to make sure to
plug your what you and your wife is doing, and in the future, as far as your y'all working together as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's awesome. Husband and wife thing too. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna tell you also too. So Instagram did this. So we actually were gonna come up with our own page. This was probably like about maybe a year and a half, couple years ago. It's called Miss Vegan in the Doc, and that's what we really have.
That's tight.
And
like
so
that's tight.
we try to come. We try to create an Instagram page a couple times. You know, basically what we're gonna do it is that, hey, like anytime she's cooking something, I would kind of provide some commentary. Man, that we put some stuff up. Man, dog, page got shut down twice, bro.
Really?
And, yeah, man.
Really
and
shocked,
so we just,
are you really shocked?
Man. So we
no, I'm not. No, I'm not. You're right.
We didn't even like worry about it anymore.
Butt naked girl out there shaking and twerking and stuff like that got 2 million views, but my brother right here trying to do something productive. So no, I'm not shocked. My bad.
So
I did it for effect for the podcast.
So anyway, basically, so my wife was like, well, she'll just post all the stuff on her page. So like I said, hers is Lady P _08, and then mine is DLC _MDUB. And I'll say is that I'm probably going to do this soon, but I'm going to actually post try to advertise the thing we want to do, nutrition consultation. And like I said, where it's like a 3-part session. We're almost done with this book, which will be free, and then any future copies will be half off. And like I said,
that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
I'll post it. Like I said, I'll post it on my Instagram page, and like I said, people are interested, just can email me, and like I said, we'll set up the session and go from there.
And Doc, you always, me and Chris gonna give you an open invitation. You're always welcome.
Oh man,
and plus,
that's great, man.
And we're gonna lean on you for updates on what's going on in that nutritional realm.
For sure,
but once again, we thank you, Doc.
Man, appreciate y'all, man. This is great, man. Thanks for having me on, man.
And I'm Samson.
I'm Marquise Jones.
Man, Doc Wooten signing off.
And this has been another episode of Iron Sharpens Iron.
Iron.
Deuces.